Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit tre.radio.
Talk Radio Europe.
Giles Brown.
Let's talk.
Right, but of course, the more appropriate of you might have mentioned it is, in fact, Viewpoint. Talk Radio Europe's current affairs programme with a panel of invited guests. We're discussing the issues of the day. Joined in the studio by the A-team this morning, Alia Babapure. Good morning to you, Alia.
Good morning, Giles panel and everybody out there.
And looking wistfully out of the window as if he was to leap through and run screaming to the Mediterranean, Andres Gallardo. Good morning to you, Andres.
Good morning, Giles. I have to look away because I can see you behind the deck, looking like a pilot in distress today.
A pirate.
Touching buttons and correcting things.
Yes, it's
playing with the volumes.
Always make sure that you kind of look busy. Yes.
The most important thing, Giles, are we going to land the plane safely?
Yes, indeed, but I'm not sure which airport. Right, then moving swiftly on. So let's have a look at what's making the front pages. Obviously, front and centre this morning is the Prime Minister's appearance at PMQs across all of the, well, apart from one, papers. The front page is dominated by reaction to the Prime Minister's grilling in Parliament over Lord Peter Mandelson. Daily Mail has a close-up picture of Sir Keir Starmer in the headline, "It's everyone's fault but his." The Daily Express argues that for once he got it right, stating that the Mandelson vetting scandal beggars belief. Daily Telegraph reckons the whole situation has left the Prime Minister looking silly, with Conservatives finding it hilarious and Labour MPs mortifying. Daily Mirror urges Sir Keir to show his steely side and put the episode behind him, but The Guardian says his performance in the Commons puts him on a collision course with Sir Ollie Robbins as he gives evidence this morning, which he is doing as we speak. The Times says Sir Ollie, that's another fine mess you got me into, Ollie, etc., will tell them that Downing Street pressurised the Foreign Office into approving Lord Mandelson's appointment despite the peer's known links to Jeffrey Epstein, Russia and China. Elsewhere, the Financial Times reports that firms on the FTSE 100 have boosted their bosses' pay by nearly 20% in the past year. It says research shows they are also less focused on environmental, social and governance targets, but the paper says the UK is still a long way behind the Moonshot Pay Awards being given to CEOs in the US. The Guardian picks up on research suggesting that cocaine in rivers could be accumulating in the brains of salmon, disrupting their behaviour. A team of scientists found that juveniles, that's salmon by the way, not juvenile, juveniles exposed to the drugs swam further and in a broader range of directions. They believe that could make the fish more vulnerable to predators as they use more energy, so need to spend more time looking for food. The Sun's front page is one of several to feature a picture of the late Queen Elizabeth on what would have been her 100th birthday. The paper says Britain still misses her calming, reassuring presence, while the Mirror believes the best way to honour her legacy is to strive for peace, harmony and a better future in uncertain times. Those front pages from the top. The Guardian, Starmer on collision course with Robbins over Mandelson vetting. The Daily Star, a sorry excuse. Dole Keir, I didn't know I was fibbing. The Times, PM forced Foreign Office to approve Mandelson job. The Daily Telegraph, I know many MPs will find these facts to be incredible. The Daily Mail, it's everyone's fault but his. The Independent, proof you knew is Indy's front page. Badnock tells PM. The Starmer, I know my story sounds incredible. The Financial Times, Starmer claims officials deliberately kept him in the dark over Mandelson. The Mirror, they chose not to tell me, PM blasts top officials during explosive debates. The Daily Express, for once you are actually right, Prime Minister, it beggars belief. The Metro, incredible, yes, Prime Minister. And finally, The Sun, which goes with something different. The King on Mother's Centenary. Mama's legacy of hope in troubled times. So those are your front pages on this Tuesday, the 21st of April.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
Got a poll. Okay, sorry, Alia. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, Giles, before we begin, you know that Andres and I go into the car park and we sort everything out, so don't worry.
Oh, you mean the world in general?
Yes,
okay,
indeed.
So fine. So more so than, they shouldn't, they don't need to bother with a government thing. They just need to have you.
That's it.
In the car park.
In the car park. Probably it'd be a darn site more useful and less expensive for everybody involved if you two, just basically.
We get on with it, don't we, Andres?
952 78 4000 is the phone number. Got a poll running on Talk Radio Europe Official, which says the following. Oh no, that's not the poll. That's not the poll I was looking for, as the saying goes. Where we go? There we go. Thank you. And the poll. I'm asking the question today. After yesterday's PMQ in the House of Commons, do you think Sir Keir Starmer will still be Prime Minister by the end of the year? Yes, 51%. No, 33%. He should go now. 16% of you think that as well. So you should go to Talk Radio Europe Official and click on the poll to find out what's going on. There is obviously the Ollie Robbins is giving evidence at the moment in Westminster, so we'll try and keep you up to date with that one as well. Good morning to Richard, who we haven't seen for a while. Good morning, good to have you back with us. Right-wingers are desperate to get Sir Keir Starmer out, but to replace him with whom? The bacon muncher. Ed Miliband, I presume, would be that one. There you go. So that's one of the main stories. However, because I'm sure we'll come on to that later, there's been some interesting developments in Spanish politics as regards to something that could actually also affect those of us living over here who haven't got their papers completely in order. I spoke to Myra Azzopardi from Citizens Advice Bureau Spain, because it does actually, it doesn't matter where you are from. It's not just for people from South America or the Philippines or something. It's anybody who hasn't got their paperwork entirely in order. And this is the famous or the infamous amnesty. Just clarify what it is, because it's not immediate residency, is it, Andres?
No, it's not. No. I'll give you a little bit of background on this. The government decided that people who have been in Spain illegally before the date of the 1st of January this year, and they could prove they've been here for 5 months or more, they could have like an amnesty, and they would receive papers so they could be legal residents and have a work permit, so they can get jobs. The idea behind it, the explanation they gave, is that these people are here anyway, and it's better to them to get into the economy in terms of being able to get jobs, salaries, pay tax, getting to the system, and make their life much easier. That's the theory behind it. What is quite interesting, something to most people probably don't know. This was passed as a royal decree. Let me just explain what this is. The government in Spain has got the power of legislating without going to Parliament if they find something that is urgent. So in the times of COVID, for instance, the urgency, so there was no time to go to Parliament, to debate it, to amend it, to approve the law and then put it into place. So they've always had this power, the governments in Spain, to have these royal decrees. Now, they have used that power to pass this law. What happens with that is that what I don't understand of this is that they've been in power for 7 years, and there was never any urgency of doing that. Suddenly now, where we have we're closer to a general election, we have been through regional elections. We got one coming up, very, very important for the Socialist Party in Andalusia, and they have thrown these out there, basically to muddle the waters of the political arena. But now the consequence here is that these amnesty, if you want to call it that, can affect. They don't know the numbers because they're illegal people, so they don't have exact numbers. But they calculate, the government calculates, it'll be between 500,000 people and 1 million people. Big difference between the minimum and maximum. So let's just take the 500,000, the lower figure, just for argument's sake, So suddenly, yesterday was it or today? Yesterday they opened up the facilities in the and Social Security and Correos, the post office, for these people to go and start applying for this permanent residency
in the post office or the Social Security
office, Social Security offices. And somewhere else.
Right. So
what happens if, of course, you've got, you might have seen it on TV, suddenly you've got these long queues of people trying to get the papers. So the civil servants are completely overwhelmed. The unions are already complaining, saying you cannot throw this amount of work, from one day to the next because we can't cope with these. So there's a little bit of a chaotic images that we are seeing now. And also there are a number of issues and problems that have flourished now. One of them being that one of the conditions that they are is that they cannot have any criminal record. Now, some countries will not issue a criminal record, so they have to go to their embassy, apply for that. I don't know how long that's going to take. And one thing is to have a criminal record via a court sentence, and another one is to have a criminal record via a police arrest pending a court case in the country of origin. So the opposition are complaining that we may be allowing people to have this residency, this amnesty, where they shouldn't be because they have a criminal record. To be honest, I personally think that the numbers are not going to be massive there, and I like to believe that most people are genuine applicants. But the problem still exists is that the social services being either education, being health, housing, which is a big problem in Spain already, is going to be swamped with an influx of overnight a minimum of 500,000 people. Can the system absorb that amount of people? We don't know. But this is where the situation is in what's from central government. Now, there's another one, which is the regional government of Extremadura, who's recently they had an election, and they finally found a coalition of the Conservative Party with Vox. They have announced that any social help that people should receive would be only they prioritize the Spanish people to receive it. So if you're a foreigner, you will not be prioritized to get any help with housing, unemployment benefit, or any help that you might get from town halls, that kind of thing.
Is that starting from now?
That's starting from now, yeah. They all only agreed that. I think it was yesterday or late last week. Which, of course, one contradicts the other. You've got a region in Spain where you have that policy, and then you have the central government having a complete different policy, given the amnesty. So that's created a very big debate of immigration yet again, which, to be honest, now the European Union are involved in that, thinking, okay, we are going to have all these people, they won't be allowed to work or reside in their other countries, but certainly they'll be able to circulate freely throughout Europe. And other countries in Europe are complaining that, they should have been consulted before the government went ahead with these kind of measures. So all a little bit in a mess, and all done, in my opinion, for electoral reasons, where Pedro Sánchez needs to be seen to be the guy leaning to the left.
But the thing is, let's just get the people who are being granted the amnesty aren't able to vote, because people are saying, "Oh, it's just Sanchez. He's packing people in. These immigrants are coming in, and they'll all vote for him." But you don't have the right to vote Well, it's a temporary. As far as I understand it, it's a, if you like, it's a 1 year or a 2 year work permit, a right to reside, but not a right to actually participate in the electoral process.
I don't think they can vote, but if someone knows differently, happy to be corrected. I don't think they can vote. It's not like a member of the European Union residing here where they have the right to vote in local elections, for instance, and regional, I think, as well. So they have that right. It's not quite the same. The only thing is that they will be residing in Spain and being able to work, so they won't have to hide from the authorities, and the other one is that they won't be fueling the black economy, black in the sense that they're paid, under the table kind of thing, the cash economy. So that's the idea behind. Now, how are we going to cope with 500,000 people in one go? And there's another problem. If people call their friends back home and they say, look, we got papers, we can work and everything, come to Spain, we are saying, open the door to everyone, they may end up coming to Spain. I don't know if that will be the case, but certainly the danger is that we are sending a message that Spain is open for everyone.
I remember Angela Merkel way back when she said, Europe can take 1 million... Germany can take 1 million people coming in, and then the whole floodgate was open and it ensued chaos because nobody was prepared for it. They didn't know what to do. There were all sorts of people coming in saying that they were children, in fact, that they were grown men. You very rarely saw a woman on there. It was mainly the men coming over. I understand for work. Yes, you can go back and look at all the photographs.
No, I'm just taking a breath before I come back. That's not me. I did.
And so on and so forth. So this reminds me of that, where we did have a lot of chaos going on. It's still going on today in certain countries. Go on, Giles.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
There's some differences here. Yeah. The one thing that is very similar is that if you look at the television images, you can't go only by that, but for what you can see in television images is the queues of people that are waiting to get the papers ready. They are mostly men and mostly young, which whether you can judge whatever you want with that, but the other difference is that where in Germany there were a lot of people fleeing from the Syrian war, here in Spain you've got a large majority. I would say I wouldn't like to have figures or percentages because really we don't know because they're illegal, as I said before. So we don't have exact figures. But it appears that the majority comes from South America. So the integration in Spain is much easier because they all speak Spanish and they all have a similar culture, if not the same culture. So the integration is easier. And for my own experience and what I know, most of South American people, they come here to work and work hard. So very conscious. They're not coming here to ask for handouts. They are here to make a future for themselves. So that is the positive side of it. But of course, there's a lot of opposition, as I said before, on the social services and the welfare state, whether that is going to be able to cope with that amount of people.
So one of the things is the fact that if we go on the lower estimate, like 1 million, 500,000, okay, that's not going to be spread out equally over Spain. If you are in, I don't know, Navarra or Galicia, you won't have that amount of the same amount that you will have, for example, in Madrid, in Andalusia, in the areas. So that's going to put a huge strain. And we're dealing with functionarios here. Now, post offices, yeah. So there. If you've been there normally, it is. We're all laughing through gritted teeth, but we know what it's like at the best of times. If you haven't got the app on your phone, etc., etc. This is, and if you're a functionario, and obviously in my next life I'm coming back as a functionario because, as we know, it is the ultimate, if you like. They need the 11 o'clock coffee break. I mean, until 1 o'clock. This is why they're getting in a real tizzy here. So that's putting strain on them, and they'll probably go on strike, which will mean as 1 million try and get in there. And I kind of get the idea of saying, okay, they are here working illegally. We might as well get them paying in. They will be predominantly young men because they're doing, if you pardon the expression, hard. It's in construction and other things like that. But of course, as you said, this pits central government against local government, and if I am a right-wing politician, I can go, look, there's young men there who are of quote-unquote fighting age or something like that, and these are the people who are coming in. They don't belong here. They may be from South America, but they're all members of the Latin Kings or, Calle 13 or whatever else, gangs, and it's very easy, even in places like Extremadura, to go, you see, it's them again, and that is one of the problems.
Yes, I mean, this is there's a big clash between those people who think it's a good idea and those who think it's a bad idea. This is a way of polarizing society yet again. And in my opinion, there's only one person to blame for these, which is the Prime Minister, which is playing politically with things like that. And it's hard to see. I said many times in this program, I'm not against immigration. It's inevitable that you're going to have an element of immigration. But it is also true that immigration has to be done very orderly. So it is helping the need for a workforce, but at the same time doesn't disrupt the welfare state and the money we spend on welfare state. So it's a very difficult balancing act. And just to give papers to people who are here illegally, some of them will not have a regular job and they will have to go onto the labour market on a country we are just under the double figures, and only very, very recently we've always been above the double figure on unemployment, is going to put a lot of strain. And a lot of local people will, although there is a minimum wage, of course, but a lot of local people will complain to say, some of these immigrants may be happy to work for a lower wage than a Spanish person. So they might take preference when employers have to choose, workers. So it's not all a way or wonderful to say, look how good we are, people can come in and they're part of our society and we're all happy. There are elements that they are a bit chaotic. To start with, to opening the gates one day and letting people queue and overwhelm the civil servants dealing with these applications, which is absolutely crazy, and it creates a really bad image for the country.
This is why I brought up Germany. Because opening the floodgates, as you said, caused a lot of problems simply because the whole system wasn't prepared for what they had to do to integrate people into the system, to veto them, and so on and so forth. And it did create chaos. Do you remember going back a few years? I mean, anyone who's not Spanish living in this country is an immigrant. We're not an expat, we're an immigrant. Giles is an immigrant, I am an immigrant. I had to go through a vetting process to get my residencia, which I got very quickly. And when I was working in Germany, I was a fine arts auctioneer. Now, yes, you didn't know that. Lots of things I do. Yeah. And my vetting process took me through the Bundeskriminalamt in Berlin, which is the highest form of policing, so to speak, where they did an intense background check on me.
Did they think you're a spy?
No, I don't know what they thought anyway. It must have been very boring because I got that as well. So to have a license for auctioneering, it's a game. You have an object where people are bidding on it. It's rather like the system of any kind of a place where you go in and you're playing games like Baccarat, if you're going on the high end, or even on a slot machine, it's all a game. You cannot be under 18 years old to go into an auction house, for example. That's forbidden, and so on and so forth. So the procedure of going through to get this license took time. So the vetting process for all of these people, as Andres has said, and you as well, Giles, is at the moment rather shambolic, because they're not prepared, and they don't have everything set up to integrate the people who could come into the country legally to get the residency.
One of the things I was going to say, though, with Merkel and Germany's decision to open the floodgates, which obviously caused chaos, you could argue that was almost, and strangely for her, that was an emotional reaction. It was a knee-jerk reaction.
Very strange for her.
Yeah, for her, right? And we could go on about the whole psyche in Germany, refugees, blah, blah, blah. This one, however, this isn't Sanchez. I mean, well, it kind of is and it isn't, because, as we know, at the moment, politically, domestically, it's not looking all sort of bread and roses. But however, on the international stage at the moment, Sanchez, with his proclamations, with his running battles against Trump, he's had this left-leaning Congress over the weekend. He is putting Spain at the centre of the shining sort of light of liberty, and he obviously is loving this, because that's what leaders love to do, stuff on the international stage, because it deflects from the more humdrum, the more real, and the things that actually appeal to voters at home. He'd much rather be doing the international thing, especially Sanchez, rather than dealing with the things at home. Andres, you're giving me that look.
No, I just wanted to say, I mean, these conference, yes, there was a lot of, let's call them left-leaning leaders around the world. But if you look at the picture, there are very few European leaders that attended the conference. But I can't think of any. So it is very much Sanchez moving away from the common policy of the European Union, and wanting to create a name for himself, because he knows his days are numbered in as a prime minister, because it appears that he's going to lose the next general election, and he's positioning himself in the international arena where he can have a nice little number going for him. Kushti.
Got a couple of people here who actually were at the left leaning, because Bob said that on his Spanish news, and I just cracked up laughing because I got visions of all these people sort of literally going at sort of 45 degrees to the izquierda. So they said the gathering, because it was held in Barcelona, por supuesto, 6,000 people from over 4,000 countries, from over 40 countries, and they were saying that they were pinning. They were looking at people who were there included South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, Brazil's Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, of course, because he defeated.
He was very vocal during the
Claudia Sheinbaum. From Mexico.
From Mexico,
yeah, indeed. And also, I thought this was interesting because also they had Nia Tannen, who was a former advisor to Bill Clinton, Biden, Barack, and also Isabel Allende, who, of course, is the daughter of the Chilean, the Chilean leader who was overthrown by in 1973.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so an interesting saying that the left had become disconnected from citizens' concerns. So there you have it.
Yeah, I mean these kind of conferences, do they do any good? Does anything? It's just only a display of egos there, trying to reinforce their electorate back home, saying, "Look how important we are in the world," and how many people support our cause, but they don't achieve anything. It's almost a bit like these climate change summits. They achieve very little, but they are nice to sort of display kind of thing. It's a window dressing exercise. Yes, well said.
Or you could say, as I get on my soapbox, you could say that they're basically saying, "Look, this is the alternative." Obviously there were large opportunities to bash Trump as well with who was there, and they're saying, "Look, we are are, at the time, of course, this was over the weekend, and they were saying, look, Hungary has changed. As we said on this show only a couple of weeks ago, Hungary has changed. It is seeing the end of populism, and then of course Bulgaria happens, and they throw it, and then it just shows that as James Brown said, I might not be right, but I'm never wrong, or something like, and I might always be right, but I'm never wrong. So they've gone. The Bulgarians have now thrown the proverbial spanner into the.
Well, the EU are trying to get change completely that vote, aren't they? That it's not one person or one country which can now veto processes.
I wouldn't like to tell
every
the
other
Bulgarians
country
that.
says yes, we're going to do it.
It's funny how we were celebrating that Orban wasn't in the exactly
Hallelujah.
the thing.
Hallelujah.
We said, hallelujah, he's not there. The European Union can rest assured that now
And then
things can move forward, and the following week we get
come up.
Indeed,
the
right.
Bulgarian appears and said, oh no, now we've got another one.
Yeah, right. Going to take a quick break and then back with more Viewpoint. Just looking at breaking news, Robbins was told that Mandelson was a borderline case. That's a new word for it. On the poll on Talk Radio Europe Official, or the Facebook page, do we think that Sir Keir Starmer, in light of his performance yesterday in Prime Minister's questions, will he still be Prime Minister at the end of the year? Yes, 51%. No, 33%. He should go now, 16%. To the WhatsApps we go, +34 645 99 67 95, just to see what people. Richard is back with a bang. So Starmer out by, this is via Polymarket. If he'll be out by April 30th, end of the Wednesday, April 30th, end of next week, 8%. May the 15th, 23%. June the 30th, 39%. December the 31st, he will be out. 67% of people in the UK think he would be out by then. Place your bets. Can't cope. We're talking about let's have a moment of silence for the functionarios having to deal with this. Can't cope. Typical Spanish civil servants. How can it be an influx if they're already here? Andres is one of the questions.
They have to present the papers and get the letter confirming that they are legal residents and they have got a work permit. So there is an administration process for them to present their case to the administration, and they will get the papers sorted out. So the chaos becomes when they all at once go to the offices habilitated for that, and then you get queues of hundreds and hundreds of people going down the road twice.
I'm just trying to post a letter and I'm stuck behind somebody with you can see that one happening, can't you? If anything, the opposite is true. Registering these people officially will give communities / towns more money from central government, as the populations will grow officially.
Should do that. No, I'm not disputing that. No.
Right, and
should do, but whether he does is a different thing.
This is the Partido Popular is losing ground.
Says who?
Well, it says this poll I'm looking at now, which is...
If it's the CIS poll, please don't just throw it in the bin. It's useless.
I am looking. This is a middle-aged man looking to see where this one comes. No doubt I will know, because we seem to have the big hand. No, the blue line, which is the Partido Popular, is just above 30%, whilst the red line, which is obviously the Socialists, is heading upwards. Vox is just below 20%, and the rest of them are just scrapping around the bottom like.
It looks to me as if it's a CIS one. So.
You can spot. Can you spot?
Because there's about 6 or 7 pollsters. One is the official one from the government, and the other ones are private ones. The one from the government always says the Socialist Party are winning, where the other ones are private ones. Now, why do I trust more the private ones? I'll tell you why. Because they have to perform well, these polls, because they're contracted by newspapers and so on. So they pay money to get a poll. If they get it wrong, they're going to lose the business. So they have to get it right. Where the CIS, which is the poll from the government, which is appointed and directed by Pedro Sanchez, then this one are basically civil servants saying whatever the master wants them to say. That's why it's to be careful with it. Goes for the private ones.
It's a poll of polls, apparently, in capital letters. It's not the CSO. Presumably it's a combination of various polls. So, yeah.
Okay.
Right, thank you. Sent me very interesting as well. He sent me a map of overall Spaniards by country of birth. So 84.77% Spaniards are... Oh, is this how many are living in... Presumably, population of people in Spain who were born in Spain, and there's more immigrants on the costas. Oh, okay, right, I'm getting that. So, for example, the highest regions would... And here I'm doing my observer's book of British... Oh, right, Extremadura seems to have the most... native Spaniards, i.e. born there, because it's Extremadura, with 95.78%. Oh, no, sorry, that looks like Jaén province, 96.53% being picked at the last moment. Okay, and Sevilla, okay. But basically, situations like... Anyway.
Look, this is quite not... You don't need to look at the map like that. There's more immigration where there's work. For instance, Almeria, which they've got a large population of immigrants. They've got all these... You would have seen this sea of plastic where they produce all these...
tomatoes. Strawberries.
The strawberries and the tomatoes and that kind of thing. That needs a lot of...
With no taste.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
But that's another... But they need a lot of labour, and that's where immigrants go, to areas like that one. Where I come from, in Lleida, in Catalonia, there's also a lot of agriculture and livestock and everything else that needs, people working there. So there's a lot of immigration there because they go where the work is.
Exactly.
So it's not... spread equally throughout Spain. Some spots have gone more than others, So don't need to look at any maps. That's common sense.
While I agree that CIS always have the PSOE in front, I was careful what I wrote. The PP are losing ground as their lead is narrowing as part of yet another column. Oh, it's another bright shiny thing. I'll be there. I'll be there all week. You should listen. Don't send me a spreadsheet, as my accountant will tell you. I haven't got a clue. Right. Meanwhile, this other one in dear Giles, great show as always. Obviously, thank you very much. Obviously, the amnesty of illegals is going to push down the wages of Spanish workers. This is quite deliberate because Sanchez's big business cronies want cheap, non-unionised labour. That's Paul from the People's Republic of Manilva. The dark forces of globalism, do you think?
I mentioned that could have an impact on if you're a businessman and you think that immigrants might work for a lesser wage. But let's not forget that we have a minimum wage. So whoever, whatever job you get, there is a minimum wage that you have to pay. You can't go under. You said, you're an immigrant, I'm going to pay you less. No, you have to sort of comply with that. But in jobs where you're above the minimum wage, could you be more willing to take someone who'll take a lesser wage, and that could be an immigrant? That could happen.
It's a fuzzy line, isn't it?
It is, and it's very difficult to prove as well, to say, he's... Very fuzzy. Look, what I wanted to say before the break is this is a strategy by Pedro Sanchez, because he wants to pitch. He wants people to be enraged by this level of immigration, because talking about polls, there was a poll not that long ago that said that 66% of people in Spain disapprove of this mass immigration. That is something that he wants people to go and then react to that decision and go for Vox. So he can present himself as the savior of the Vox world, of, if you like, the ultra right, ultra conservative,
and then
he's manoeuvring to get people to react against Vox, not against his policies, but against Vox, so to gain his, support from voters, is creating these fear of Vox, a fear of the extreme right being anywhere near power, so he, accumulates voters. That's the strategy, and it's a very clear strategy to me. The same thing he did with the International Committee of leaders in Barcelona this weekend, where they all say we are united against the far right evil people that are coming to take us, and we defend democracy and freedom and everything else. So that's the strategy, to fight against the extreme right.
However, that might work well when you're dealing with the mayor of something, Badajoz or somewhere like that, Extremadura. When you're dealing with Andalusia and Juanma Moreno, however, and the Partido Popular, if you say, well, if you don't support my policies, therefore you are basically a fascist, Juanma Moreno has shown himself to be a very canny political operator, as we saw during the floods down here recently. He's on the ground, literally, going to Cordoba, Jerez, etc., and Sanchez sort of flies into San Roque and flies out again. So it's going to be really interesting, the Andalusian elections, to see how that,
When are they coming
the
up?
17th of May will be. Now, the Andalusian... Yeah, they are regional, yes, but they're very important because Andalusia is almost like what happens in Andalusia is what happened in the whole of Spain, and it's very important for the Socialist Party because for 40 years this was his stronghold. They lost that, and now Juanma Moreno, as you rightly said, he has been in power and he's done a very, very good job. People are quite satisfied with a lot of aspects of what's happening in Andalusia. And the polls are saying, now they're talking about polls again, that they will most probably, but not 100% sure, that they will win the majority. So they will not need Vox to do any kind of coalition. He could govern another 4 years in Andalusia. What is the regional? The regional elections are very important because regions manage a lot of the budget and a lot of important things. Like one of them is health, and the other one is education. And those. So it is very important that to vote in these elections because important things are played at home in the region, so people need to go and vote. That's an important election.
Take a quick break and then back with the the last couple of minutes of the first half of this morning's Viewpoint.
Talk Radio Europe.
Yes, indeed. Going to my own humble poll on the Facebook page. As Sir Ollie Robbins is giving his statement, his evidence in front of a committee about the vetting, dismisses approach to vettings from number 10. That will be covered in the main news coming up at the top of the hour. Richard says that the Andalusia election is a done deal. Again, showing betting on whatever. Apparently 98% of poly markets think that the Partido Popular will win. Yeah, I'm pretty much sure that they would seem to have this one in the bag in terms of... But it's very interesting to see how, as you said before, Andres, I mean, typically Andalusia, socialist heartland, and has turned as part of the new Spain, etc. And
it's very significative that the Partido Popular can win in Andalusia, which is a stronghold of the Socialist Party, so been since democracy started after Franco. But the thing is that Juanma Moreno, is the perfect example of moderation. Is capable of talking to the right, to the left, to the unions, to everyone. Is so level-headed and moderate that everyone likes him. Even the socialist voters vote for him, and they like him. And everyone is claiming in Spain that they want him to be the leader of the Partido Popular because they think that they could win a majority in Spain. But it's interesting to see that a guy who is completely moderate, not strident or anything like that, is the guy who seems to gather more support. So that's the importance of moderation in politics. It's,
Don't you think also, Andres, that Juanma Moreno comes along as a person who's without scandal? And I think people are fed up with politicians everywhere in the world being scandalous because they are. Lots. I don't know of anything.
I like to think that it comes without scandal, and at the moment it seems
idea
you're absolutely right.
So.
It comes with no scandal, but in Spain you have to be careful when you say that, because then something might appear.
I'll tell you what Moreno does have, which the others haven't had thus far, but Sanchez has got in buckets as well. It's charisma. If you look at who the Partido Popular, they've got Feijóo at the moment. Rajoy wasn't exactly Mr. Charisma. What was his name?
Aznar.
No. Aznar had charisma, but that's mainly because of his moustache. There was, it was hiding. And was it Casado?
Casado, the wallpaper.
Exactly. Yeah. They've had this procession of grey men. And you need a charismatic leader to take the fight to Teflon himself, Sanchez. So, Moreno could be that man.
Yeah, I think he is. I mean, I'm not a fan as such, but I do regard him as a good politician and a guy who's done good things. He follows through his ideas. He's got certainly a plan that is, mapped out, and he's following through. A lot of things have improved. Some things need improving, but one of the big thing in this campaign is the Socialist Party is attacking the health service.
Talk Radio Europe.
Your voice in Spain.
Back for the second half of Viewpoint. The panel have been back from the front of the car park. I've just looking across the world, seems a much calmer place now that you have been out sorting out in the car park. So therefore, let's have a look at some of the bits and pieces since we last met, which is approximately about 11 minutes ago. But in today's world, who knows what can happen? Do we think, after yesterday's Prime Minister's questions and House of Commons, do you think Sir Keir Starmer will still be Prime Minister by the end of the year? 26% of you think yes. No, 37% also think that he should go now. So those are the comments at the moment. Just seeing what Nick says. He shouldn't be, but probably will be. So he will Starmer will probably still be Prime Minister by the end of the year. Just looking at some other bits and pieces coming in as well. Give me Bull, because we were talking about the fact that Moreno has charisma, and also Sanchez has, Teflonic charisma. You can throw things that don't stick. They say, give me boring over charisma, otherwise you end up with clowns like Bodger and Donny. Yes, and that's the Alia is signifying her consent to that one. I don't want or need to be entertained. And that, if you say that, then my feed will be full of Russell Crowe memes. I don't wish to be entertained. I need results-driven performance. Richard, you're a hard taskmaster. A results-driven performance on politicians, Andres. Can you imagine that?
Totally. I agree with Richard for once.
Are you sure you're not a bot?
This is what happens when we go out in the car park, you see, and come back.
You come back and
It's true. We are very focused on charisma, how they look, what they, and what we should be focusing is on results.
If you look at the mess the world is in right now, with everything going on, you don't need somebody who goes screeching around and trying to prove to the world that they are better than everybody else. You want somebody who is very quietly working along in the back parts of government. We don't know what Starmer, for example, has been doing. Well, we do, because we can see all sorts of conferences which the man has been making, his trips where he's been cementing old friendships and making new ones and so on and so forth. I'd much rather have somebody like that at the helm than somebody who wants to produce. Boris Johnson had, if you like him or not, charisma. He did. He was supposed to be a very nice man when he was talking to you to get what he wanted, but in the end,
it will be nice when to people we want to get what we want.
Well,
it's when we don't get what we want. The true character of a man comes in.
There you are. So to have somebody who is wanting to be, always in the front of everything and making insane amount of promises and then backpedaling and this, that, and the other, with the situations that we have all over the world, which are horrendous, you need somebody quietly who is going to get things done. And I wasn't a Starmer fan. I've become very much more of him. I think the man is doing a good job. And all this hype and screaming about Mandelson and so on and so forth. let him get on with the job he's doing. He's kept everybody out of a horrible, insanely stupid war to start off with. And he seems to be doing the job, which is good. If you look at what he's done, and there's lots of things up on various sites, what Starmer has done, he's steering the country in the right direction. I never thought I would say that, but there you go.
My flabber has never been so ghastly, as the saying
Well, there
goes.
you are. You
Well,
see,
yes.
I can still do it at my age.
I never... and with yes, let's not even go. Andrea, save me.
Yeah, no, I kindly disagree with you, because I think that Starmer has from day one made evident that he didn't have map out a plan and a development for the country. He's had so many U-turns that is not a good sign for any leader of a country. And he has done good things because that plan on immigration that he came out about, I think, was it about a year ago or 6 months ago? I can't remember now. So many programs, but I remember saying in this program that I thought that was a good way, a positive way of tackling immigration at the time when it was a crisis point. But
Ali's got her finger up, so be warned here.
But in general, he's been a little of a wobbler and a leader without leading.
Boris Johnson used to refer to Keir Starmer as the lawyer in derogatory terms. Well, I know he is, but he was that. But that was that kind of almost slippery kind of legalese kind of way that Johnson absolutely wasn't, because he had the attention span, Johnson, that is, of a boiled owl, etc. Yes, right, you've got your finger up waving at me, so the floor is yours.
Keir Starmer is a Queen's Counsel. I mean, he didn't get to be that person or have that august title for being an idiot.
Oh, the august title.
Yes, I know. I like saying that. I try to trot it out sometimes. For your information, I've just looked this up. Labour got 865 written statements made to Parliament, 560 statutory instruments introduced, 174 ministerial statements, and so on and so forth. 50 government bills worked on, and more and more and more. Robbins was the decision maker to give security clearance to Mandelson, despite the vetting recommending it to be given. And he alone made that decision, discussed with no one more senior, and little was formally stated. I said I don't agree with lots of politicians about what they say, because you can't. They do one thing which is good and maybe 6 things which are bad, or vice versa. But at the moment, like you said, Juanma Moreno is going to be a powerhouse in Spanish politics, getting more and more. I think that we don't need powerhouses in politics in the moment in Britain or in the UK. We need somebody who's got a clear head and will keep this going quietly, working behind the scenes to steady it. Great Britain is now the 5th biggest economy in the world, which it wasn't a couple of years ago. It was after India. So what is the man doing? He's doing something right. Now I'm going to look at Giles, because he's sort of wobbling over in his chair.
I'm fidgeting. The problem is, you're dealing with opposition parties now that are just going way, and Nigel Farage exploded yesterday, as always, as he would do. Kemi Badenoch. The problem, Diane Abbott was on yesterday as well.
Oh, God, yes, I saw that.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you're going to be vetting somebody, we kind of knew that Mandelson, and he's been fired twice before from posts, and it's just this. You can kind of understand that Starmer is going, I wasn't informed by this, but it makes him look, well, it wasn't as if nobody knew that Mandelson had previous. And I understand that the idea was that Mandelson had got the royal way from Trump, so we thought that he would be able to build a relationship with this very particular American leader. And that was why he was ushered through, because we thought that he would do because he could pander to the idiosyncrasies of the American president. But of course, that obviously blew up in everybody's face. Andres?
The question that requires an answer is it acceptable for a leader of a country to claim, I didn't know about it? Because this is what, they are hiding behind. And I'm saying this because of Starmer, yesterday's appearance in Parliament. And also that I can do the same with Pedro Sanchez when he had the minister arrested and in prison and currently in court. And he turned around and said, I didn't know about it. Is that acceptable? That's the question. Is it acceptable for a leader to say, I didn't know about it, so I'm exonerated of any fault of these? If you're a football manager, you can't hide. It was my players are not playing well. It's not my fault. You're the first one to be sacked.
Andres,
I know the football team is not the same as a government, but is it acceptable? I don't know. I open the floor here to see whether it is acceptable for a leader to say, I didn't know about it. Or is it the question that it is your job to know about it, and if you don't know about it, it's because you are not good enough to do the job.
Do you not think that
it's your job to know about it? That's what I'm trying to say.
Don't you think that though you put, when you're in a position of power like he is, and he's got so many things to take care of every single day, that he has to rely on the people who are under him to make the correct decisions? I mean, if you look across the pond at the odious orange, he's always saying, I don't know anything. I had no idea. And this, that, the other.
The odious orange.
The odious orange is my name for him.
That's okay.
Is it good?
I'm right.
Thank you. There you go. I'm being polite.
No, it's very good indeed. Very good indeed.
So he says it all the time. I mean, well, we know that he's cuckoo anyway, but there you are. But Starmer, all these politicians right up at the pinnacle, they can't know everything. And I am not saying that you are wrong in what you say. I just think that there are certain things which have to be dealt with minions, in parentheses, which afterwards come to light, and maybe he didn't know. I'm giving the benefit of a doubt. That's all.
He didn't know. I mean, I think he did. And I think Sanchez did. And I think these guys, they're hoping that it won't be a case where they, sort of found out and then they hide behind, I didn't know. But that's not an excuse. In law, you can't say you didn't know the law. If you committed a crime, whether you knew the law or not, you're punished. You can't claim, I didn't know. As a leader of a country, you can't. Your job is to know everything, and in the case of Mandelson, the decision. We all thought. I mean, the consensus. Let me just clarify this. The consensus of opinion is it was a good appointment because of his experience as a trade minister, his weight in the party and in politics in general, and his good relationship tentacles in the United States, and the good regard from the president for this particular character. So, on paper, it was a good appointment. But if the vetting procedure hadn't cleared him, surely, I mean, I cannot imagine that the Prime Minister didn't know about it. I'm sorry, it's almost impossible. And if he didn't know about it, he should have known about it. Otherwise, he's an incompetent.
Well, yeah. So he's either incompetent or he has,
or he's lying.
He's lying, and if
which one is worse, being incompetent or being a liar? I mean,
that's a constitutional issue that if he's lying, because then that is that is curtains. I think we could agree, because if he's found to be lying,
I don't think he's going to go. I don't think so.
That's a statement.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll take a quick break.
You've made yours on your side, and I'm making mine on mine.
Okay, Prime Ministers don't all... Okay, so... this is... Thank you very much, Richard, sending me Emily Mateless' stuff in Mateless. Breaking. What Robbins is making very clear... This is Robbins who's giving evidence to a Common Select Committee. What Robbins is making very clear is there was constant pressure from Number 10 throughout the process. The vetting wasn't of that much interest to them. He didn't overturn a decision by the UKSV. He just made a decision based on the balance of their finding. The PM would never be told about the vetting process because of the war between civil servants and ministers. Prime ministers don't always know everything. Much like any president of the United States not being the brains behind any decision behind the White House. Andres expects... Here we go, my little Mossad agent. Andres expects Sir Keir Starmer to know everything. Then what is the point of SPADs and civil servants who have specialist knowledge? It was as clear as the day when Mandy was appointed to be a Donny whisperer. Well, the very thought. We all knew Mandy was dodge, but the pros outweighed the cons. Dawn, good morning to you. The civil servants are notoriously watching their backs, so the buck doesn't stop with them. After this, it will still be that multiplied as if they are on steroids. Quick break and then back with more Viewpoint.
TRE.
Talk Radio Europe.
Viewpoint with Giles Brown.
Always live, always lively. And indeed, my flabber has been gartered through the mornings. I'm joined in the studio by Andres and Alia. Of course, it's the A-team. If you wish to get involved with this morning's show, these are the numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
Got the poll on the Facebook page after yesterday's Prime Minister's questions in the House of Commons. Do you think that Keir Starmer will still be Prime Minister by the end of the year? Yes, 32%. No, 36%. He should go now. 32%. Go forth and get your votes in on the poll. This in on the WhatsApp +34 645 99 67 95. Starmer is like HMS Dragon, which bobbed around in the Channel for a while, then managed to limp to Gibraltar, then broke down altogether in the Med. Okay, fair enough. And that's what we have thus far. I'm just checking all my other... I'm just looking at the telex machine, excuse me, while I check the facts and Telegraph. Right, that seems to be everything we have on that one. Robbins was told that Mandelson was a borderline case. Just to let you know what's coming up on TRE Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain today. Following me will be Stephen Ritson. I can hear him sharpening his 2 HB as we speak. Also, Europe Today between 12 and 2. Selena brings us the lifestyle show. She'll be talking to Dr. Anthony Sillard about love and suffering, which overturns much of what cultures have taught us about love, forgiveness and gratitude. Laura Whittaker from the Joy Exchange, non-profit leader Laura Whittaker, offers an inspiring and entertaining invitation to discover the revolutionary rewards of entering into lives with those with diverse abilities and experiences. Hannah joins us with TR in the afternoon. She'll be chatting to Sean Williams, Brendan Navarro, co-founder of B Spain Savvy, talking about their novel Becoming Lucia, and Dominic and Debbie will be joining us, ambassadors of AA on the Costa del Sol, sharing their stories and experiences. That's all coming up on TRE Talk Radio Europe. Your voice in saying this show is of course repeated. This show is repeated between 6 and 8 o'clock in the afternoon. 952 78 4000 is the phone number. Studio@TRE.radio is the email. The Facebook page is Talk Radio Europe Official.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
So, panel, I'm just thinking about this. The Pope. He's been talking. You want to talk travel, don't you, rather than the Pope, who's on a bit of a travel, doing Algeria and whatever. So, what is striking your? What is your viewpoint on travel? Are you booking a tour somewhere, Alia, that you should know about?
Yes, to go to Iran.
Okay.
And Ukraine.
Right.
Is that your holiday for the summer?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
Well, I can see it now. They're in the Straits of Hormuz, and then the theme from the Love Boat plays as Alia steams in.
Me chugging along.
Well, it's interesting.
Have you got a car park? Come with me. I'll sort you out in 5 minutes. Right.
Interesting the spat that we had last week between the Pope and the President.
Yeah.
That was quite something.
Well, I mean, he was very clear that he didn't really mean. He's against all authoritarian leaders. So that wasn't it wasn't particularly. He's saying that he is on the final leg of a 4-nation Africa tour. I thought it was interesting he went to Algeria because you would have thought he would have gone to sub-Saharan Africa. The nations that are sort of places like Equatorial Guinea, or who are in that particular branch of the church. He said, falling over his words. But he said that Trump wasn't happy because in Angola yesterday, he said that many people. This is the Pope. He said that many people globally were being exploited by authoritarians and defrauded by the rich. But that's not the President of the United States. You're looking askance at me.
No, I was just thinking about what somebody said about J.D. Vance, who was also criticising the Pope. And what that person said was, J.D. Vance, who's been a Catholic for all of 15 minutes, is now turning around and telling the Pope, who is probably the most learned person about Catholicism that you could possibly think of, how he should talk to the Catholics and what it's all about as a religion. And I found that so funny.
Yeah, I mean, you see, the Pope has to be careful. So it's about like a monarch, like the king. You cannot enter into the nitty-gritty of politics. You have to be seen neutral. You have to, embrace every citizen and everything. So the Pope has got that very difficult job not to, have to embrace the faith, spread the Gospels, do that kind of father figure, if you like, which is what it is. The Pope, his father figure,
the clues in the name.
Doesn't get involved into things. Very, very difficult these days because everything is politicized, and every word you say can be sort of taken one way or taken another, and you create a problem for yourself.
And even where you travel.
And even where you travel.
Even
sort of
when
you travel to Africa, and then you encounter people who, like you mentioned, the exploitation of people there by other powers who have gone and taken over certain parts of Africa, namely China. So all of these things, the Pope has to be, it's a balancing act, between spreading the Gospels and being neutral and being seen to be neutral. So I don't envy his job. It must be very, very difficult.
What I found so funny also is the fact that people were getting their proverbial...
In a twist.
When the Pope quite correctly took off his shoes before entering the mosque, which is what everybody who does go into a mosque do. I mean, people do that at home. You take off shoes when you're going into a person's house. If that's what is required of you, do it. It's what is a problem. But they were going on and on, not saying, blah.
You follow protocol. It's all down to respecting, all the faiths and everything else. That's his job, really. And he would have told, the custom is to take off your shoes. So he said, I'll go along with that. I don't know what... It's just like we were talking about these charismatic politicians, It's it's funny how you get a televised debate between two politicians, and the next day in the press you read what kind of suit they were wearing, the shoes, the colour of the socks, what tie, the colour of the tie, whether it was representative of these, representative of that. What about the content of the debate? You know, I don't want to know about what they were wearing. I don't care really what they were wearing. But all the talk, not all of it, but I mean some of the talk is about what they looked like, you know, whether the makeup was right for
Penny
them.
Mordaunt carrying a sword, if you remember that.
Yes, I remember that.
That was a huge...
Oh, my God.
I mean, that was apparently... I didn't know he'd gone back to Arthurian legend because she could wield a sword one-handedly. She didn't pull it from a stone, but this was seen by certain sections of the press as meaning that she could probably leave the country. This was during the... coronation, yes.
Coronation.
She was holding a sword in that, apparently.
God.
That's one way, I suppose. You know, there's a Monty Python sketch about the women in ponds throwing swords shouldn't be a system of government, but hey, you never know. The thing, going back to that point though about people saying, oh well, religious leaders shouldn't get involved in politics. I kind of get that, but then again, there are certain figures, religious figures within the world who are absolutely in politics, and that religious teaching is, whether you like it, loathe it, or lump it, is affecting policies, affecting lives. There are wars fought over religion still. There are certain sections who want to basically sort of redo the Crusades, if you look at some of the postings. So,
yes.
And, you know, if people are being abused, if those who have no voice through government, through authoritarian regimes, through immigration policies, have no voice, then it is the spiritual and moral duty of your religious leader to stand up and say no, or this, and not say it's his fault or it's her fault or that regime's fault, but to say these are the teachings we should be following.
These shouldn't be like that. Yeah,
and if you object to that, that's as a leader, that's something about you rather than the Pope or the leader of a religious community.
Yeah, but look at what happened to Pope Francis, the Pope previous to this one. You know, he made some statements with regards to poverty and people exploited and so on. And he was seen like almost the lighthouse of the left. You know, I mean, a lot of left-wing politicians said, oh, he's a good Pope. He's, you know, carrying our torch. You know, he's, you know. So he was very much identified as a left-wing Pope. I think this Pope is trying to move away from that left-wing sort of image and bring back the balance to the church. So not to be seen to leaning one way or another. But
it was always going to be that way because of the Catholic Church's history in South America, especially in Central America, where they stood up for human rights, and obviously, you know, Catholic priests and nuns and congregations were targeted by, you know, El Salvador, Nicaragua, etc. They really were at the sharp end of some of the worst abuses.
Yeah, but the one thing is the people on the ground, you know, the priests and so on, and the people doing the work in South America. I mean, look at Spain, you know. I mean, some of the church in Catalonia, for instance, during Franco times, they were really against the regime and wanted change and were pro-democracy. So they took a stance, you know, not all of them, but some of them, especially in Catalonia, were very left-wing at the time.
In the late 60s, you know, late 60s, early 70s.
Late 60s, early 70s, you know, a lot of the priests there were, you know, the people in political organizations will hide or meet in churches, you know, under the umbrella of the church to be able to organize themselves and getting ready for what was coming. So on the ground, yes, of course, that you will have people leaning one way or another, but as the Pope, you have to, in my opinion, you have to keep that balance and be like a monarch in a country where you cannot be seen to support one party or another. You have to be really, you know, sort of in the middle.
Did you see that wonderful film, The Two Popes?
I haven't seen The Two Popes yet, no.
Brilliant.
Stanley Tucci.
Brilliant. It's very, very good.
Anthony Hopkins.
So Anthony Hopkins and Jonathan Pryce.
That's the one.
Jonathan Pryce played played the part of the Pope coming from South America.
Yeah, the Argentinian and
coming over. But it was a very beautifully scripted film where you had the hardliner on one side and the liberal coming in on the other. And it was...
The Panzer Cardinal, as the previous...
Exactly. And it was,
it was the German...
Panzer Cardinal.
Yeah.
I love that because obviously it brings to earth my thing of German.
Very well worth watching.
Okay.
Yeah.
I shall look that out. I shall look that out. I've got a TV schedule to be watching. 21 minutes to go this morning's Viewpoint. Take a quick break and then back with more.
Talk Radio Europe. Viewpoint on Talk Radio Europe with Giles Brown.
Now then, I thought it had been a bit quiet on the phones today on Viewpoint. Because the phones have been a bit hit and miss recently, but I was assured the phones were okay. And it just goes to show that you can have the highest level of technical ability by our own technical department who have strived long and hard through the night to get the phones up working. But and those are the organ grinders, okay? But if the performing monkey who is the presenter forgets to check whether the light bulb is screwed into the phone system to let me know people are calling in, how many radio presenters does it take to change a light bulb? In this case, has to make sure he actually knows the light bulb is screwed in.
I did say at the beginning that you looked like a pilot having all sort of troubles in the cockpit, and not sure if we were going to land safely. But there you are. Your phones weren't working. That was all your fault.
So I just gone to the studio email, and there's messages from people saying we can't get through it. I'm thinking, well, that's strange because the bulb hasn't flashed, and then I just went to the bulb and it has been unscrewed. So, should you wish to be phoning into this morning's Viewpoint, you have, and as if by magic, the shopkeeper arrived. Morning, calling live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your Viewpoint, please?
Good morning, Giles.
Oh, Alf, good morning.
I'm glad I got the message through that nobody could get through.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Apologies. I hope he's okay.
Not too earlier.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And Andreas, when you go in every time now, you've got to check the light bulb.
Yeah, I will.
How many Spaniards does it take to change a light bulb?
Radio presenters. No, it just takes one Spaniard to remind the presenter to check the light bulb. Unbelievable. Oh.
Check the light bulb and the swivelly, squeaky chairs.
Squeaky chair.
Oh, no, that's my forte.
Yes, anyway. So, Alf, right, we're rocking and rolling. We're cooking it.
So I had half an ear on Viewpoint because I've been sitting there watching Ollie Robbins.
How's he doing so far? He's looking,
Well, I think most people, and that's why people shouldn't say things without listening to all the facts or some of the facts, or at least listening to what's really going on. Because he hasn't once said, I didn't tell them, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. He's laid out exactly what his process was and where he stood, and some of the difficult stuff to understand is that he wasn't actually the person who was in the Foreign Office for the first 3 weeks in January when most of this went on, and he certainly wasn't there when Mandelson, they first talked about him, whenever it was, September, October, November. So what he's got is the end product. But what he's saying quite specifically, and anybody, if you get a chance, because you can watch it on catch-up on the television, the parliamentary channel, and listen to Thornbury questioning him, magnificent is what I'll say. She was spot on. She wasn't challenging him. She was just saying, you tell us what went on. And when he come to the point, and if anybody watched yesterday with Starmer, and he said, I wasn't told, and his disagreement, along with the Foreign Secretary and David Lammy and Uncle Tom Cobley and all the rest of them who were upset that they weren't told, is that it's a process that they have to go through. One, they didn't. Nobody said we're vetoing it. Nobody said any of the things that have been coming out as if it's, oh, Starmer must have known, and I heard Andreas say again, Starmer must have known. It's called, no. What Starmer knew was what I'd said months ago, if you recall. Well, if you recall, on Viewpoint, when they first said about putting, considering Mandelson, and I went, why the hell would you go down that tunnel? We all knew that Mandelson, had history, if they can call it that.
Yeah.
And all that Prince of Darkness. The Prince of Darkness stuff was because people in Whitehall were frightened of him because he used to expose them. Not because he's some evil person who comes out of the ground, but yeah, he did a job on people. I tell you, when I was an organiser, he was superb. Nevertheless, what's coming out for me, and where it's ended up, is that the process was, we do this all of the time with people who are going into the diplomatic service. What's happening at the moment is there's lots of people who aren't in the diplomatic service and they're trying to find them jobs. This is jobs for the boys. We all know that's what goes on. We haven't got a job for you in the Cabinet Office, so what we'll do is we'll find you a job in some foreign port somewhere. And if you recall, there's about 20 MPs have all been given jobs as special people are brought. It doesn't mean anything. It just means they get more money and they sit in a job, or they're put into the House of Lords. I have a way round. What he's saying, or what is being said, is that there's a view that's held that somebody may have had a history, may have some difficulty, but is it manageable? And that's the crunch point. Yeah, they're all going to say there was pressure from number 10, there was pressure. Nobody's saying the pressure from number 10 was to make it happen. The pressure was make it happen in a certain time scale because they wanted it to fit in with, obviously, stuff with Trump and visits and all that sort of stuff. But it was about somebody made the decision at some stage that Mandelson was capable of being managed, even with all his history.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? They're trying to manage him rather than,
Sorry, what they couldn't manage, and what they didn't know about, is the stuff that the Foreign Office, the vetting organisation, that anybody wouldn't know about, and that was the Epstein stuff.
Correct.
And that's
he's not going to volunteer that, is he? He's not going to say. He's not going to volunteer that during the vetting. He's not saying, "Oh, by the way, I've been hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein."
And also, you're not going to find it out through public records or.
Yeah, I mean, they were worried about.
Yes, you may have a thought in your head, but if the process says, "Yeah, look, we know it's there's something, we have to keep an eye on what's going on." But we think we can manage Mandelson, and from what everybody said, including Andreas said it as well, this is a guy, not only, and they go, oh, and he's got links to China, oh, and he's got links to Russia. Yeah, he's got business links. He's a big business person, and he got that from being the business secretary for a Labour government. You don't make these things up overnight and get trusted. The Chinese don't come along and say, "Oh, we'll have Mandelson on board with some of our companies because he can flog us all secrets."
And the other thing is, of course, that at the time when he was appointed, secretary, the ambassador, sorry, everybody went, okay, he's the perfect guy to handle Donald Trump. And nobody who's going now could have told you so. Nobody in the House of Commons at that point. That was the overriding issue. One, he's got all these business contacts. Two, he's been around the business system and the political system for years. Three, he had a relationship with Trump, however he built that relationship, and Trump, and not only Trump, but the Trump administration. Four, he knows how to handle the business end of it. But like I say, what nobody knew and what nobody could forecast was Epstein. Yeah, the files.
And the effects of Epstein.
Yeah.
So nobody can come along now and say, you were wrong. Yes, Starmer says, if I'd have known then what I know now, then I wouldn't have appointed him. And it gets worse by the day because another revelation comes out. Oh, he didn't have clearance. He did get clearance. He did have clearance for vetting. But not before he was appointed.
Alf, the crux of this one, Alf, is which is going to be the one that people are. I mean, obviously, your Daily Mails, your Expresses are screaming at this one.
Yeah,
is that of course they will. If he is found to, Johnson went because of Partygate, didn't he? Because he was found to be misleading, during the COVID thing. Do you think if he's found to be misleading, is it as serious? Do you think as the Partygate thing? Do you think if he would...
He won't... Listen, an hour and odd I listened to this guy. There is no way Starmer's going to be found to have misled Parliament. No way. He reported what he was being told. That's not somebody misled Parliament, but it wasn't Starmer. It may have been the Cabinet Office. It may have been whoever in Number 10. The guy who was mates with Mandelson may have been pulling lots of strings without Starmer even knowing. So there's no way Starmer's going to be pulled up for that. But that's not the issue. You can't compare. This is like chalk and cheese. What Johnson did and how he did it, and the complication that he had was that he had half the Tory party against him. Starmer hasn't got, whatever people talk about, Starmer hasn't got half the Labour Party against him. What they've got is half the Labour Party saying, oh crap, I wish we had a leader who was a bit more charismatic. I wish we had a leader who was a bit more forthright. I wish we had a leader who people implicitly trusted. And that's the complication that Starmer's got. But you're telling me that all of those Labour MPs who are struggling anyway, never mind about local elections, there's no MP, they all say they're concerned, but there's no MP who's worried about local elections and councillors losing their seats and all that. I was talking to my mate who was the deputy leader of Greenwich Council, and he's going, they're all crapping themselves because it's so bad. But so what?
Yeah. But nobody's going to want, and again, at the moment, nobody's going to want to put their head up and say, right, I'll take this over from Starmer as well, because there's no, there isn't
anybody.
Exactly.
They've all got baggage, they've all got, complications, there's all this, and if you turn the clock back to, the Andy Burnham thing, the saga as I call it, I find it fascinating because Mrs. Balls, the Foreign Secretary, she was in there, Miliband was in there. You name it. Uncle Tom Cobley and all their mates were in there. And who won? Oh, Corbyn.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what people must understand. And they're in no different shape today, even though there's more MPs.
You see, what they should have done is they should have sent somebody down to Pedro Sanchez's left-leaning gathering at the weekend, you see. Somebody should have gone there. They could have been part of this huge European coalition. The Daily Fail says Richard just want their stooges in power. They wanted Labour out before they even started. Fair enough. But, at the moment... Alia, yes.
Who, if Starmer is to go, who is going to come in?
At the moment.
Nobody. There is nobody to take his place.
She gets
no, there are plenty of people who would love to come in.
Love to come in, but whether they would
they don't command majorities.
Exactly.
The Labour leader comes from within the Labour Party, not from the fantasy of some person in Harlow. This is it's rigid. 600 or I don't know how many thousands of members there are, but you don't get there. And Angela Rayner may be popular to the public, or there's a perceived popularity amongst the public.
Likes to dance.
I'm not so sure that's true if you go and talk to Labour Party members or activists.
So here we go. If this does trigger, Richard, if this does trigger Sir Keir Starmer's departure, then this is bad news for Andy Burnham, who isn't an MP, and Ange, who still has the Angela Rayner, HMRC investigator to deal with. Perhaps it is time for a bacon sandwich with Ed Miliband.
And Streeting has a problem because he's seen as a backstabber, and Yvette is not going to go in that direction. Yeah. David Lammy could have been, but isn't now.
No.
Yeah, and you just tick them off and say, who of these would command a majority in the Parliamentary Labour Party?
Yeah.
And if the answer is, well, none of them, what you end up with is maybe the Angela Rayner, the token lefty who's left in the system, and they get through because all of the others take their votes away from everybody else.
Alf, you will be pleased to know that the poll currently says, after the performance yesterday, should Sir Keir Starmer, will he still be Prime Minister by the end of summer? Well, 32% think he will be, 37% think he won't be, and 31% think he should go now. So your final thought, Alf, on that?
Well, he ain't going to go, and he ain't going to go after the local elections, and he will still be there as the leader up to the general election, and that's the difficulty for the Labour Party about how you now manage the PR around, not Starmer, but around the Labour Party and what it's trying to achieve in a second term of office, which is, if everybody remembers, that's where they started the first term.
Yeah.
We need 2 terms of office in order to make the changes. And if you look now, all of the politicians talk about 10-year plans. Lib Dems have got a 10-year plan. The Tories have got a 10-year plan. Even dopey Reform have got a 10-year plan. So nobody talks these days in 1 term of office achieving anything. Alf, so it's about how they manage the election.
Alf, as always, good to have you with us. We're going to run out of time, but thank you. I'm glad you finally got through, and I'll remember to plug my light bulb in next time. How's that for a clue? If you'd seen the picture there...
What you should do is, when Andreas turns up, ask him to lick his fingers and stick them in the socket, make sure it's live.
Well, indeed. Well, there's no answer to that, Alf. Thanks very much for that. Take care. Nice. Take care, Alf.
Bye-bye.
Andy Burnham should have been the leader. Andy Burnham would have been the ideal leader, don't you think? Says, who's saying that? I'm just thinking who says that. I can't find the information. Oh, never mind. Whoever you are, thank you for that. That would have been good fun. Andy Burnham would have been leader. No, my WhatsApp is just frozen. And here we go. Final odds from Richard. Ange, 13-5. Wes, streeting to you. 15-2 or me. Burnham, 8-1. Bacon Ed, 17-2. Mahmood, 14-1. Yvette, 22-1. Meanwhile, Paul, glad you switched the light bulb on. Alf is spot on. Opposition parties and certain elements in the media are trying to advance a certain narrative while ignoring the substance of the evidence. Starmer's crime? He's a bit boring. Well, he's a lawyer. I mean, come on, let's get, he doesn't read an awful lot, doesn't say an awful lot. That was from Paul. I'm just trying to find who thought... Paddy, thank you very much, Paddy, for your thoughts, saying that Andy Burnham would have been the ideal leader, don't you think, don't you know? Looking at the poll, looking at my poll, if you pardon the expression, okay, nothing in there to... sorry, I'm having one of those days. I think it was with the phones and everything. Looking at the poll, here we go. I think we shall close the poll now. And the comments are as follows. So, I was asking the question, after yesterday's Prime Minister's questions, in the House of Commons, do you think Sir Keir Starmer will still be Prime Minister by the end of the year? So, yes, 31%, no, 35%, 34% think he should go now. So, not a lot of confidence there in the Prime Minister. So, we shall watch with interest how this all develops.
I was going to say, of course, I've had the benefit of being able to see the live appearance of, and he was watching that, so he's got a little bit more information with the statements that he's made today, which we didn't have that information because we were here entertaining your listeners, Giles.
And flabbering in my ghast, and obviously reminding me to turn the light bulb on in all things that I do.
You're not going to live that down.
So things that we've learned today.
Definitely.
Apart from Andres obviously being a sleeper cell from Moss Island, which you know already, and obviously being also a Partido Popular mole, was A, that you used to be... I'm blown away the fact that you were an international art auctioneer. Mm-hmm. You never failed in Germany. That's a good job.
There's lots of things people don't know about me, which I've done.
And
I trot them out little by little, just to keep it going.
Keep it going. We must go to a dinner party. And also the fact that I'm...
you should come over.
Yes,
I'll make a nice dinner party.
And that sounds rather lovely. And also that I can't be trusted to even screw a light bulb in, which is why people always say, and they say, why don't you, Giles, why don't you do this and the other? And I said, you must understand that Steph has to literally my producer has to plonk me in front of the microphone, hit me on the back of the head with that towel and say, go. And I think we've proved that already. Thanks for all the comments coming in. But most of all, my thanks to, and Richard, good to have you back with us. But my thanks to, as always, Andres.
Thank you, Giles.
And Alia Babapuli, as always.
Thank you very much. That was a very lively discussion.
Marvellous.
Great.
Have a great rest of your Tuesday. I will see you tomorrow.
The views expressed on Viewpoint by invited studio guests and callers do not constitute an opinion endorsed in any way by Talk Radio Europe.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this program, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit tre.radio.